Hi, I'm Jennifer from Chronic Hope Counseling. Every month at Chronic Hope, we offer a free support group for people with chronic pain and chronic illness. And this month, we had the absolute pleasure to welcome Sarah to come talk to in our support group. Sarah is a holistic nutritionist, and she did a presentation on managing chronic pain with a holistic approach. I loved everything about this presentation, and I am so glad we were able to record it for those who couldn't make it, so you can still watch it and learn. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. If you have any questions, you can always visit our website, chronichopecounseling.com. You can also email me at jennifer.sutton@chronichopecounseling.com. And at the end of the presentation, you'll see all of Sarah's information as well. We'll hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.
Well, I wanted to begin by thanking Jennifer so much for having me be a part of this. I'm honored to be a part of this space and this group. And I'm so excited to be able to share with you guys today about managing pain with a holistic approach. Again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for allowing me to be a part of this and sharing in your support group. I really hope that it is beneficial and that you're able to take away some useful information from it. So of course, we are going to be talking about managing chronic pain with a holistic approach. So we will be discussing a holistic approach to health, the difference between conventional and holistic methods, and 4 ways to manage chronic pain with a holistic approach. And for those of you who are not familiar with what a holistic approach is or what that means, basically a holistic approach recognizes you as a biologically unique individual. The focus is placed on your unique set of needs, and recommendations are made in order to balance your body, mind, and soul for optimum health on an individual level. So it's not just about the physical body. And again, it recognizes that each person has bio-individuality, and our life experiences, the challenges we've been through, everything that we've faced in life affects our health to this very day. The other thing that is beautiful about a holistic approach is that it honors the space for your individuality and recognizes that you are unique, and that no two people are the same. So, and if you guys have any questions about a holistic approach or anything like that, please feel free to comment, or at the end, I will be taking questions. You can also email me. I'll be sharing my contact information at the end. So who am I? My name is Sarah Steward. I'm a holistic nutritionist and holistic health practitioner. And my main goal and mission is to help people learn their body in order to support their individual needs. And what learn your body means is, again, it's recognizing that we are all individual. No two people are the same. So our needs are going to be unique to us, who we are. And it takes into account that we are all different. We have a different set of nutrient needs, and we also have a different set of needs when it comes to emotions, mental health, spiritual health, all those kinds of things. So I'm going to go over a few things, and these were the areas that kind of began my journey in this area, things that I had experienced in conventional healthcare and things that I had seen others experience in conventional healthcare that kind of propelled me into this work. So I would love to know if you have experienced any of the following or anything related to these few things that I'm going to mention. Labs are normal. You've tried everything. You've experienced mystery symptoms, or you've dealt with dismissive healthcare professionals. So labs are normal is a very common one. And what happens with labs is you can be within normal range, but still be having issues. But if your health practitioner isn't taking extra time or looking a little bit deeper, it might you know, they might say everything's fine, but you're experiencing these symptoms. So it feels kind of like you're stuck because everything looks normal on paper, but yet you're dealing with these symptoms. When it comes to mystery symptoms, you could be experiencing a wide variety of symptoms for an ongoing period of time. And still, if labs are showing up normal or your doctors or healthcare professionals don't act like it's that big of a deal, it can be very frustrating. Trying everything. This could be when it comes to medications, treatments, diets, different types of programs. Maybe you just feel like you are like just at the end of the road. You don't know what else to do because you literally feel like you've tried everything to try to manage your health and nothing is working, nothing is helping. And lastly, and one of the most unfortunate ones, areas to me, is dismissive healthcare professionals. And that's the ones that, you know, kind of make us feel like we're crazy, make us feel like what we're feeling isn't real. Or if they see something in our chart that they feel like they can relate it back, they might say, well, it might be because of this previous diagnosis. Or they might just act like it's not that big of a concern. And again, I want a word about healthcare professionals. There are some really, really amazing doctors, specialists, nurse practitioners out there that do the hard work and go the extra mile for their clients, but sometimes it can be hard to find those people. So, you know, if you have come up against that, or a healthcare professional has ever made you feel like a nuisance, or like your pain and symptoms isn't real, or it's not related, or it's not that big of a deal, don't take their word for it. Please find another practitioner that is going to honor what you're feeling and validate your feelings. And I'd love to know in the chat, or you can even message me, if you've experienced any of these things.
I know I certainly have. My favorite is, oh, good news, the labs are normal.
Yes.
And you've been sitting there with all these symptoms and you're like, that's not good news. And I feel like that also goes into the dismissive part a little bit, that they're just thinking, oh, they're going to be thrilled by this, they're okay. And you're like, well, not so much.
Exactly. And for a lot of practitioners, they just take those results and they're like, here you go, here's your great results, and we're done now. There isn't any more like deeper diving into why we're having these symptoms. Not to mention, lab ranges are very outdated, and they really don't take into consideration the person. So it can be something difficult to navigate, and I'll actually talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. So if you have ever felt frustrated, discouraged, hopeless when it comes to your healthcare, and even when it comes to managing your symptoms and pain, I want you to know that I can relate, and I completely know what that's like. And I also understand that we all experience these things differently. Just because I can relate doesn't mean that I understand what you're feeling or the pain you've gone through. I just want you to know that you are not alone in this. There are many practitioners out there that will honor you, honor your feelings, validate your feelings, and also not make you feel like it's in your head or like it's not a big deal. My main mission and goal is to help people learn their so that they can take care of themselves and feel empowered and just know their body so well that they understand when something's off. You know when you need to look a little bit further, or maybe that even means asking for a second opinion, changing something up just to see, making sure that you're focusing on not just your physical health, but mental and emotional health as well. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story and how I got here, and how I ended up doing this work. So For 10 years, I was searching for answers. For 10 whole years, I was telling doctors, nurse practitioners, specialists about this debilitating pain that I was experiencing. I couldn't function. I was having a hard time going to work. I was having a hard time doing anything. And I ended up being met with statements like I had a low pain tolerance or it was anxiety related. And even when pointing out on my physical body where I was experiencing this pain, I got one comment like, there's nothing down there but your large intestine, take some Metamucil, might be a blockage, things like that. And this went on for 10 years. This was over multiple doctors. This was not just one scenario. This was multiple different health professionals that I saw that were telling me these kinds of things. I was never given the opportunity for additional testing. Nobody ever even made me feel like what I was feeling mattered or really made it like that it didn't make a difference, that I was either just kind of being difficult or I was blowing it out of proportion. So I was experiencing things like that in that 10 years. And I was just never given the opportunity to get any kind of additional testing or screening or anything like that to see what was going on. I was misdiagnosed. My journey began with a diagnosis of fibromyalgia and anxiety. And what it turned out to be was complications from a birth defect and hemorrhagic or bleeding ovarian cysts. I also had some emotional issues, but it was not related to anxiety. This was not related to an anxiety diagnosis. I had also an extremely overburdened liver, which was causing hormone-related imbalances in my body, which if you know anything about hormones, it only takes one really slight imbalance to throw all kinds of things off. And that was what I was experiencing. There was many elements to what I was feeling, to my illnesses and my health condition. It was not just about my physical symptoms. There was a lot of emotional processing that needed to take place that I had never allowed to take place, but I also didn't even know how to go there. And when it came to physical imbalances, how I had been born had an impact on my health as well. So finally, after all this time came my aha moment. And we all kind of get there eventually. Some, you know, hopefully it's sooner than later. Mine came much later, but it occurred after I had finally came into contact with one doctor after those 10 years that finally ordered the tests and the screening that I needed. And I received the diagnosis I had been waiting for so long. And if you have finally gotten to a diagnosis, you realize like, even if it is bad, it's a relief because you're like, finally, there's something, like I have something kind of, not that it's tangible, but you have something to go off of. And I had been in the process of learning about a holistic approach during all of this. And so I began to kind of implement it into my own health slowly. So I improved my diet, I got sober, and I allowed space for spiritual growth and emotional processing. And after 3 months of doing these things, when I went back for my follow-up appointment, there was no evidence of any cysts, there was no bleeding, there was no scar tissue. There was nothing there. Everything had resolved. And what this was kind of sad, but I had told the doctor, I was so excited to tell the doctor what I had been doing, what I had been implementing and trying to resolve these cysts. And I guess I was really kind of waiting for some kind of, you know, a pat on the back or, oh, that's so good that you did that. I'm so proud of you, kind of from the doctor. And, you know, some kind of recognition that I had gotten to manage what was going on in my body. And what I was met with was, he said, I don't think that that had anything to do with it. So, and that was kind of like I was just like, what? In that moment, I realized how many holes there really were in the healthcare system. And while there is a place for medications and surgery, I really feel like we should be filling in the gaps, trying to do other things to manage our health. And it's not just black and white. The whole entire space is gray area. And why don't we have these kinds of resources to fill in that space between our diagnosis and when things do get better? Like, why aren't we offered those kinds of resources? And when we are just trying to do things, why aren't our healthcare professionals recognizing that and telling us, like, yes, this is helping you manage? Now, I know that there is a possibility of my cyst coming back, and every now and then I do feel that pain, but it's almost always related to my diet, or I haven't been taking care of myself, haven't been sleeping, I've had too much of something that I shouldn't have, and that's usually when it comes back. But whenever I begin to manage again, everything kind of resolves. And I began to realize how different a conventional approach, which is like mainstream medicine, is different than a holistic approach. And my goal became to be a holistic health practitioner that filled in these gaps. And again, there is absolutely a place for medical intervention. There are wonderful doctors out there, but I'm more into like a yes and type of approach, then it's black or white. You can only do natural remedies or only do medical. Like, I feel like they should be able to work together. So I'm going to briefly go over kind of what the conventional healthcare model looks like and where those gaps can kind of happen. So it's very one size fits all. It's really based on your symptoms and if you fit into this box, and there's always like a specific protocol that has to be gone over, and typically there is not much deviation in those steps. I was lucky because I actually got referred to the doctor that actually ended up giving me my diagnosis was referred to me by a nurse practitioner. And she said, I'm referring you to him because he doesn't go by protocol. He will figure out what is wrong. And that's what I needed. And it's just kind of sad that it has to be someone that goes against the protocol, that goes outside of the box, who are the ones that actually end up being able to give you something, give you a diagnosis, give you some kind of direction. There's also a lot of gaps in healthcare. Even with a diagnosis, it can be extremely isolating and lonely. You know, especially when we're dealing with an invisible illness. Family doesn't understand, our friends don't understand, and sometimes once we leave the doctor's office, we feel kind of like we're just on our own. Conventional method tends to treat symptoms, not people. And this kind of fits back into the one size fits all scenario. And again, there are many excellent healthcare professionals that see you, who you are as a person, not a file folder, not a patient number, not your specific illness or your symptoms. You're more often than not just seen as a walking illness. Who you are as a person is not considered, sadly. And then test results. And this kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier about lab results being normal, and test results are very helpful and they're needed, but they only tell part of the story. And again, not taking the whole person into consideration leaves out so much.
Sarah, you froze on my end.
Is you-centered. So who you are as a person, what you've been through, what you're facing is all taken into consideration. it is all centered around empowering the individual. The goal is for you to take your health back and learn your body's prompts, take care of yourself. It's focused on the whole person, your mind, body, and spirit, not just your symptoms, not just the physical. When you are presenting symptoms or an illness, its approach is very unique to you. And there's also the matter of individual response, where diagnostics and labs can show us part of what's going on. It's still just one piece in the puzzle. A holistic approach invites how you feel into the picture. What's making you feel better? What's making you feel worse? It's very focused on how you are responding individually. What's helping? What isn't? And health is not just about food. There's so many facets to this. And right now I'm going to share with you 4 ways that you can begin to manage your pain with a holistic approach. And these are all things that you can start doing today. These are things that I use every single day with my clients. It doesn't take anything fancy, any products, any tools or shakes or whatever. This is just things that you can start to implement slowly every day, just to see if anything starts to shift or change. And remember, any kind of information that our body's giving us, even if we get worse, that's still very vital and important information, because that's telling us whatever we're doing, whatever is going on in our body is contributing to making things worse, making our symptoms worse. So we just have to be able to look back at that information and apply it. So here are the 4 areas that I'm going to go over a bit more in depth with each one. So intake and unique dietary needs, emotions and mental health and self-care, tracking the individual response, and BYOA, which is be your own advocate. So intake. Evaluating foods, medications, and treatments that could be affecting us adversely and contributing to nutrient deficiencies. With a lot of times, doctors won't tell us that this specific medication we're on could cause severe nutrient deficiencies, essential nutrient deficiencies, and we need to be able to support that in a way. We've got to uncover what our individual needs are. And when it comes to focusing on anti-inflammatory eating, at the root of pain is some type of inflammation. So our focus needs to be lessening that inflammation. And inflammation is a completely necessary function in the body. It helps us heal. But chronic inflammation can cause complications, and it can also contribute to and cause chronic pain. Moving on to emotional, mental health, and self-care. We need to allow space to process our emotions, find a creative outlet that's unique to us to help us channel those feelings and energy. Taking care of our emotional and mental health is going to look completely different for everyone, and that's okay. It's not, not everybody loves like getting their nails done or their hair done or bubble baths. Some of us, self-care looks like saying no, setting boundaries, reparenting, making a schedule, giving ourselves space to accomplish things, starting therapy, using whatever resources we have available and looking for resources in order to help that. Channeling our emotions might be allowing ourselves to cry. It might be exercise for some, it may be drawing for others. It's important that you find what helps you process, what makes you feel better emotionally and mentally. And again, just because something works for someone else and you're like, oh, I guess I'll try that. Or if you've tried something and it doesn't work for you, that's okay. That means that might just not be your thing. That might not be what's going to help you. And it's totally okay to try new things, to try to see what will help you in that area. Tracking the individual response, and I spoke a little bit about this. No two of us are biologically the same, and our life experiences have shaped our health. So tracking our intake each day, tracking our symptoms, elimination habits, so like bowel movements, tracking our food, our feelings surrounding food and our symptoms, it can all help us narrow down where management is needed and help us uncover possible triggers. Again, just because something worked for someone else, whether it's a diet or a medication or whatever, it does not mean that it will work for us. And again, that is okay because we are biologically unique. So it's important that we find our unique and specific needs. And my favorite, BYOA, which is be your own advocate. You have to advocate for yourself by building a healthcare team that supports you and your individuality, allows space for you to question and honor how you feel. This is your life. And you are allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to ask for a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion, change doctors, look to complementary methods along with whatever kind of medical intervention is happening. You are allowed to do that. And I think it's very important that you ask questions, read up on things. And if you're too tired or it's too stressful, ask a friend, ask a family member, hey, will you just read about this for me and just kind of tell me what you figure out, just so that way you're going into your doctor's appointments or conversations with a little bit of information. Always ask for your records. And again, do your own research. Surround yourself with people that will support you and want to help you through this process. But I would highly recommend always asking for your records, even once they've been updated. Always have them so you have access to them and you can just check them out even when you're just sitting at home. Like, I kind of just want to look more into this result or this screening or whatever it is.
One thing I want to add to that with getting your own records is I the past like 2 years I've started collecting all my records back to like surgery when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I've been looking through it and I'm like, there are diagnoses in here that they never told me about.
Really?
So always get your records. I found out that they found like scoliosis when I was 18 and nobody told me. And that there was certain things with my jaw, like damage with my jaw because I had surgery on it that nobody told me. So get your records and
absolutely.
And I think they just didn't think it was relevant. Like they didn't think it was bothering me, so they didn't put it in there. But when I look at it, I'm like, that explains a lot. That was bothering me.
Wow, that is crazy. That is actually kind of awful.
It's awful. It really is. So just always get your records. I have binders of them.
Wow. Yeah. And again, it really goes back to who is your healthcare provider, because like, that's just kind of crazy that it's up to them to tell you things, to leave things out. It's just, this should all be information that you have and know.
Yeah. Yeah. And some doctors make you pay for your records as well. So I don't know what that says about kind of the healthcare system, but I've had to pay like $50 for records at times.
Yeah, I remember, when I was trying to get my ultrasound photographs, it was like, this really should not be that hard. And the woman was like, well, it's kind of just like a picture. And I'm like, I understand that. Like, I'd like the picture. And she's like, well, we can't make a copy of them. And I was like, oh, I'll take the original ones then. Like, that'll be fine. And it was like such a problem. I was like, I know you have a copy machine. Like, if you can't copy it, just give it to me. And it's just like, wow, why is this so difficult? So yeah, very important. But to wrap this all up, these are the ways that holistic approach can help you manage your health. You learn your body. So that again is focusing on your unique individual needs. There's only one you. So it matters for you to know what's going to help you on an individual level. And again, honoring your individuality. So when you feel something, when you feel pain, or it doesn't even have to be pain, if something feels off, something doesn't feel right, don't tell yourself, oh, it's in my head, I'm just blowing things out of proportion, I'm probably just tired. Like, no, you need to figure out really what is going on. Why are you feeling that way? Because there's always a reason. And even if it is just because you're tired or you're anxious about something, it's important that you have resources and access to ways to manage it. And a holistic approach is going to help you take control. Now, this does not mean, again, that we just forego any kind of medical intervention, medications, treatment, anything like that. But in the meantime, when you're not sitting at the doctor's office, what can you be doing to promote your health, to contribute to optimum health? Is it eating better? Is it eating differently? Is it, like goes back to self-care? Is it setting boundaries around when it comes to family or friends or environments, surroundings, all those kinds of things? It's very, very important that you take control of your own health. So if it's okay with everybody, I wanted to share, I have a special offer for my Chronic Hope friends. If any of you are interested in any kind of personalized plan or even just talking about what's going on with your health, I'd love to support you. You can visit my website, which is nutritionsteward.com, and click where it says Clarity Call. And if you book a clarity call, we're just going to kind of go over your health goals, what you're currently trying to manage, what has happened, and if I think I can help, I will share some resources with you. And if you mention that you are part of the Chronic Hope Counseling family, I will have a special offer for you. And these are just a couple of my services. I do personalized plan, but I also do coaching calls for those who are not wanting a kind of long-term commitment, or they're kind of just wanting to get a direction. Those are my services that I offer. And I left a little bit, it looks like we still have a little bit of time. If anybody has any questions, and if you don't feel comfortable asking in this forum, please feel free to message me on social media. I will go back to the page in a minute that has my handles on it, or you can email me at sarah@nutritionsteward.com. And I'm going to go back to that slide here, my Facebook, my Instagram, and my email, if you want to message me through those platforms.
Great. That was absolutely amazing. I love getting new information from people. I always feel like I got this chronic pain thing figured out, and then people give me new information and I learn even more. So
oh, I'm so glad. That makes me feel so good, Jennifer. I'm so glad. And again, I'm so honored to be a part of this and to be able to share this, because that's my main goal, is getting the information out there. I've felt such an urgency to do that in whatever realm, whatever it looks like. I'm just really passionate about getting this information to the people that need it.
yeah, we were both very motivated by our own experiences. And I think that's a lot of where passion comes from, is from your own experiences. And you can definitely hear and feel that in you talking and sharing your information.
Oh, thank you. And absolutely. That's what tends to propel us into this work, right? Is having to go through that and really not wanting anybody else to ever have to experience it that way.
Absolutely.
So, but do you have any questions about anything?
I don't believe I do. If anybody else does, feel free to turn on the mic. You can ask a question in the chat here. Other than that, this was really, really great. I'll make sure to share this everywhere I can so everyone can get your information.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And again, thank you so much for allowing me to do this and inviting me into your space. I so appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.